Let's dig into how you came up with some of your first creative strategies to get placements. So I found out that you got into People magazine very early on, and you were somehow able to finagle getting your whole house remodeled, and you got featured in People magazine. So talk to us about how you did that and how we can do similar strategies.
Yeah, so this was probably 14, 2015, something like that. And again, I never was the content creator or the girl that had all the followers. I was never the person that had the perfectly curated Instagram feed. I was never the one that just, the fashion sense like naturally came to her. I was never the one that was being invited on the front row of Fashion Week. So I really had to work with what I had. And what I had was an understanding of marketing and PR strategy, and really an understanding of serving other people, because it's not about me. It's about how can I give them what they want? Because if they get what they want, then I can get what I want, and then everybody gets what they want. Everybody's happy. So what I wanted at the time was, my son was 2 years old at the time, and we were turning his baby room into like a big boy room. And I wanted to try to figure out a way to partner with a brand, really, so like to offset the cost, so I didn't have to pay for it. And I knew it would be a good opportunity for me to work with brands, and this is what I was trying to do, and monetize my platform. But, and I started pitching it out to all of these different companies, and they just kept being like, what's in it for us? Like, you have, 2 followers. Like, why should we care? And so instead of just feeling bad about myself and giving up, I was like, okay, well, I can't change the fact that I don't have a lot of followers, but what can I work with? And so I was like, well, why do they want me to have a lot of followers? Why is that important to a brand? Because they see that as them being able to get in front of more people, to get more eyes, right? So following is really just a viewership. So I started to think, well, if I don't have a platform that has a viewership, what are other platforms that have a viewership? And I go, well, media. Media have platforms that have viewerships. What relationships do I have? I have media relationships. Mm-hmm. So again, I don't have the following. I don't have, people aren't just knocking at my door begging to work with me. But what I did have was an understanding of how to pitch myself and how to get those relationships. And if I didn't have those relationships, I knew that I could figure out how to find those relationships. Because here's the other thing that I want to mention, because I think that it's probably easy for someone to hear this and be like, oh, well, easy for Julie to do it because she was a publicist and she had relationships. Book contacts are completely different than lifestyle and fashion and brand contacts. Like, the book contacts that I had, they couldn't help me with any of this. They covered books. The music contacts that I had, they couldn't help me with this. And really by this stage, and this, Hala, I had lost a lot of those relationships. Mm-hmm. And as you know, in the media landscape, those people are changing jobs every single day. So somebody that I might have known at People magazine 5 years ago, they're not even there anymore. Mm-hmm. So, I really was starting from the bottom, but what I knew was how, if I didn't know that relationship, I knew that I could figure out how to get to that relationship. So I just started thinking, I was like, well, if they're wanting to get in front of people, if that's really the goal for them, the goal is not that I have followers. The goal is that they get new eyes on what they want. So maybe I could get them media. And if I could basically act as their publicist and get them media, then maybe they would want to work with me. So then I started to switch gears, and instead of pitching the brands, I started pitching the media companies. And so, and at the time, because of blogging, I had been just trying to get my name out there. So I would always offer to do like contributing posts and editorials and op-eds and stuff like that, just to get tagged and get my name out there. So I went to, Modern Mom and Mom.me and just all of these mom sites, Pop Sugar Moms, and these mom blogger sites at the time that covered a lot of mom content, because again, I was working on my son's room, and this was a mom related piece of content. And then I noticed during my research that People magazine was coming out with their own blog. They were going to have a blog on people.com, and they were going to have like a parenting section. So I got scrappy, found a bunch of different contacts, just reached out to all of them. And I was just asking, would you guys be interested in a piece of this kind of home makeover, stay at home, work from home mom, home makeover, if I were to partner with a brand. And so they were like, cool, like, sure, we need content. That's the thing. Media always needs content. So they were like, awesome, no big deal. You know, they're like, for starting this new thing, we would love content. So I was like, awesome. Now I can go back to the brand and say, hey, People Magazine is interested in covering this story. Are you in or are you out? And so I went back to the brands, and after, 15,000 different brands I went to, I was able to narrow it down. And then finally one, all you need is one brand got back to me, and that was World Market. And they said, we would love to do this. If you can guarantee that we're going to get media, we would love to do this. So then I paused and I put my PR hat back on, and I was like, okay, so how can I make this as big as freaking possible? Because this is my only chance at this. So like, how can I make this big? So I went back to People Magazine and I said, World Market is in, but they're wondering, is there any possibility that we could also get a print opportunity? And they were like, well, if we're going to do print, we need to have this be just more than like one room. We need to see like a makeover transformation. So then I was like, okay. So then I went back to World Market and I said, okay, so guys, the only way that People Magazine is going to be able to do this is if you redo my entire house, because they need to see a full home renovation. And if you can do that, then we'll be able to not only get the blog coverage with links clicked, so then World Market's making money because people can click on those links, but then we're also getting a .com feature and you're getting an imprint feature, which is just good for awareness. Yeah. And they were like, cool, let's do it. And so I was able to then get like over $250,000 worth of furniture and interior design services and photography services all included in this deal. That was at the very beginning of all of this and one of the first things that I ever did. And so from that, when friends and people kind of caught wind to this, because this was back when like girls like me that were doing this, they weren't thinking like that. They weren't thinking like that was possible. And so then just so many women and girls that were in that content creation space just started coming to me and they were like, how do I help me do this? I want to do that. And that's when I created my first course, which is still around today, called Pitch It Perfect. And it helps content creators learn how to pitch and land brand deals.